Hi, and welcome back to Black and the Flash's Summer Speedrunning Celebration, Juneteenth. We are here with our final run of the night, and I am very, very much looking forward to this one. It is going to be Afterimage by the one and only Karushi Drive. Karushi, you want to take it away from here?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Karushi Drive. You can also call me K-Drive, and I'm here with Afterimage, one of my favorite Metrovanias of all time. And I'm very happy to showcase this for Juneteenth today. We'll be running specifically the Wall category. The Wall is the name of the ending we'll be going to, and we'll be running on the restricted rule set, the details of which we'll be giving throughout the run. I won't be doing this run alone. I'll be joined by azuarc for the commentary. What's up, azuarc?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. I've done a lot of recent practice on this category, and there's going to be some new strats that we'll be showcasing in this run today, so dig in for what's going to be an awesome run. We'll be starting shortly here. We're going to start in a new game, and we'll be doing advanced difficulty tonight. The differences between advanced and normal are basically just the damage you take and the number of armor points that enemies have. Typically, normal is a little bit faster for most runs, but normal was added in December 2023, and most runners were already used to running on what was the original difficulty, which is now advanced. So that's the main reason why we're going to be doing advanced tonight. All right, I'll count down from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, to start off the run, we'll be going in the prologue section, as the runners call it. And it's very simple, just some basic platforming and dashing through this initial area of what is called Rubywood Desert. And later on in this Rubywood Desert section, there's going to be a boss fight known as the Lush Wolf boss fight. And I'll let azuarc go over some of the details of the Lush Wolf boss fight, because there's going to be a cool combat technique that we'll be employing basically straight away.
Right, so Karushi is very, very practiced on all the movement in this game. You're going to see a lot of interesting movement tech, but the one that's going to be important right now is that in this game right now, basically all Karushi has for attack is a slash and a crouching slash. But what he's going to do is he's going to crouch to cancel his animations, and it's going to go super fast. So as you can see, he just completely obliterated that boss. Unfortunately, the boss is about to return the favor.
Yeah, and the idea here with the boss's health bar gone is that you're supposed to take a scripted death, and in the speedrun we want it to happen as quickly as possible, so you stand a certain spacing for the wolf to do the laser attack as soon as possible, which instantly kills you. Unfortunately, it took one extra attack because we weren't at the right spacing, so it wastes like 1.5 seconds, but it's not a big deal. But now, after that Lush Wolf scripted death, we're taken to the main part of the game, in which we're now in the main part of Rubywood Desert. And as we go along in this run, you'll see me destroying what are called dew crystals. And this is in order to gain currency to be able to purchase some fast travel consumables called resting potions. We're going to be looking to purchase a total of 5 of these in the early portion of this run as part of the route that we have for this category. And later on, we'll be purchasing a few more and collecting some more that are just scattered across the land in the same manner that we get any collectible in this game.
Yeah, that white tree that we just passed is a save point, and you can use the resting potion to get to basically any one of those at any time. There is a second mode of warping around that can be done from the primary save point in each zone, but the zones are enormous. This is a huge game, and so you're going to find that sometimes we want to have a little more flexibility in our movement. What you might have noticed half a second there is that Karushi did do a very interesting way of getting back up onto that platform. The developers did plan for that. There was a moment where he basically jumped and then air attacked in the middle, and it gave him a little extra hang time. That is something that the developers have kind of packaged in, and what he did as a result is he skipped a second boss fight with the Lush Wolf. That one's not the super mutated version that one-shots him, but basically akin to the original one that we were fighting. And normally you would have to fight that, but because we used that movement technique, we were able to avoid it completely. Karushi's breaking up some dews. As he indicated, those are the currency. It's a lot like Geo and Hollow Knight, basically. I like to compare a lot of the things in this game to Hollow Knight. I think it compares pretty well in a lot of regards, and what isn't Hollow Knight is, Karushi likes to say, compares pretty well to Symphony of the Night, so It's a wonderful game. As you're noticing, the art is amazing, and it's a huge game. Just if you see this and you go, oh, this looks cool, just be aware it's a big game. It is very big, and we're going to see basically a world tour of the entirety of it in very quick fashion.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Yeah, this game has a lot of analogs to Hollow Knight. It's one of its central inspirations, along with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, as Azuarc mentioned. We're going to be taking this tree here because we're actually going to be coming back to this area later on. And also there's a boss fight coming up against Triple Question Marks, a rather mysterious character in the game. I'm sure you guys...
Triple question marks, oh no.
Yeah, they hit us with the question.
So Crucci's going to show off the crouch canceling again here. You're going to see this, but also he's very carefully luring the boss into the corner there where he can hopefully kind of stun lock it a little bit. It's not perfect. Yeah, technically you can theoretically get it stuck there, but it requires like frame it perfect inputs. So what he's doing is manipulating the teleports to get the boss into the corner so that each hit that knocks her back a little bit doesn't really send her anywhere. Obviously we damage tank that one hit to get through this fight very quickly. Normally a boss fight is very time consuming and tedious if you're not very practiced at crouch canceling. I know it takes me like 3 times as long to do.
Yeah, that boss is genuinely very hard, especially with the limited equipment that we have in our possession in this portion of the run. But now that we've made our way past Triple Question Marks, she disappears and we're allowed to progress forward into the hub town of the game known as Resting Town. And Resting Town will have the NPC from which we're going to be purchasing the aforementioned resting potions, and will also allow us to get to the next area underneath this area called Resting Path. In Azuarc, there's one important ability that's located in Resting Path. What would that ability be?
That would be the slide. We are finally getting our first movement ability. It's a Metroidvania, but you wouldn't know it until now because we've already been through 2 entire zones with no movement upgrades. At the end of this area, we will get a slide, however. That slide might not seem all that exciting. However, one of the things that is very important about the slide is that you see Kurushi dashing everywhere. He basically dashes on cooldown, but there is like a little bit of a cooldown before he can do it again. What we can do over flat terrain is we can alternate a dash with a slide, and he will just take off and go super turbo through areas that permit it. And that has a lot of interesting ramifications for avoiding enemies and for getting through areas very quickly. So you're going to see a lot of that once it becomes an option.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we're going to take a quick safety save at this tree. Normally we wouldn't get this, but this route has some inconsistencies, so that tree is just going to help us progress forward in the run smoothly. There's going to be a little bit more platforming as we make our way towards the mini-boss that's guarding Slide. Basically, after we defeat the mini-boss, it'll just drop Slide as well as a talent point for us, and that will allow us to make use of it right away when we get to the next area called Field of Geo.
Oh yeah, talent points. This game, in addition to being huge, also has a big old talent tree. Not quite like Path of Exile size, but pretty big. And on top of that, there are 6 different weapon types that you can work with. We will see upgrades to those weapons as we go. Right now, Kurushi is explicitly avoiding getting any because they take up time. But there are a couple that in other categories we often pick up in this area. But we are closing in on that mini-boss fight, as Kurushi put it. They are actually regular enemies from a later area. But for now, they're going to pose a little bit of a challenge, or at least be a very good punching bag. I think punching bag is probably a more accurate description, because Kurushi's just going to hit the crouch cancel, and the one guy's just going to sit there and go, for like 20 seconds. And
So the second one spawned in
after delay. Watch that triple attack. Normally those guys go down a little quicker, but because we haven't upgraded our weapon, it's taken a little longer, only hitting for 11.
Yeah, this is a tough mini-boss fight at this portion of the run, because typically you'd have like a much better weapon, like a bronze blade or bronze scythe or one of those, but in this stage we just have the wooden scythe that we picked up from Rubywood Desert, so it takes a long time to kill that boss. Yeah, we got it. Very nice.
Nice.
So we now have the slide in our possession. We're going to be using a new movement technique called dash sliding for the rest of this run for our horizontal movement on the ground. And this is much, much faster than just chaining dashes normally. So
look at him go.
yeah. This is one of the more satisfying movement techniques, I would say, in the game, but
And just
it doesn't
in time
stop
for Field
there.
of Geo, too.
Exactly, yeah. Now, Field of Geo, this area is a very cycle-dependent area. Any time loss you accumulate builds up very fast, so you have to make sure to hit the best cycles when you can. So that'll be our aim, especially for the first couple of enemies that we'll be bypassing.
Yeah, everything that Kurushi does here is very rehearsed and very practiced, and so, as a result, little deviations will throw him off completely. Those enemies chuck bombs at you, and they also path very awkwardly, so we're doing what we can to manipulate them so they don't get in our way. There's going to be intentional damage there, just to get through, because that guy is in a very awkward position.
Yeah, we schmoving now.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Kurushi's going to be moving this entire run.
I can't wait. Like, this is just offer. This has been a gorgeous game to watch, and now seeing like the speed technique. No, I'm locked in here.
Yeah,
Let's
you got
go.
like 55 minutes of this.
Yeah, this run, believe it or not, 55 minutes is one of the shorter length categories out of the categories we have for this game. But the nice thing about this category in particular is that you basically get like a little world tour of the game. You get to see a lot of new areas. You get to see a lot of the movement techniques that are used in the longer categories as well, but in a much shorter format. So it's pretty nice for marathon, especially.
I don't know if you caught it, but Kurushi did another one of those hover attacks where he jumped and attacked. He actually attacked once before and once after his dash to really extend it, because it's just barely possible to make that. But in doing so, he got to a chest, which is going to give him a new weapon, which we're going to use in the upcoming boss fight. There is our first, like, real boss fight coming up in a second. Lost the Gale Feather is going to be guarding a very important upgrade for us that we're going to want to come up here and claim as we move into this fifth map area here of Emerald Falls.
Bad hit there, so we're just going to take a safety heal.
It's okay. Loss is usually not a big deal if you manipulate him correctly. He's pretty much a scripted fight. If you know how to fight him and you go in the right way, it pretty much comes out the same each time.
Yeah, the goal here is to use short hop blade attacks in the air, because for whatever reason the blade air attack hits twice. Well, that's great.
So there's a regular sword and then there's blade, which is basically a katana, and that's what Kurushi has switched to for this fight. It's the weapon of choice for me personally when I do my longer categories. I personally do not enjoy using the scythe because I'm not nearly as proficient at crouch canceling as he is, but this is the one time you're going to see the katana used in this run. It's going to get replaced very quickly.
Yeah, pretty shortly I'm going to be re-equipping the starting sword, because as a matter of fact, I prefer very heavily the faster weapons in this game. So that'll help us just for breaking some barriers and tapping enemies that want to attack us. Basically, by tapping enemies, you can interrupt their attacks before they hit us. And what we just collected is one of the first major key items that we need for this category, the wall. And we'll be talking about what the wall actually entails pretty soon. I know you guys are probably eager and wondering what this category is all about, but we need to save it for a later time for now, because all the things we're doing currently are basically just set up for when we talk about what this entails later.
Yeah, what Kurushi is doing right now is almost identical to the any percent run. We are basically taking the short path to getting to just any ending at all, and then we're going to deviate from that in a little bit. But right now, if you watch an any percent run, you would see them doing pretty much all the same stuff. In fact, is there really any deviation other than dew collecting? It's just potions, right?
Yeah, that's right. The first part of this run is pretty much just dew collecting for the resting potions, getting the first initial Shunlong glyph, which is what I collected there earlier when it said Gen on the screen. We're gonna be collecting a total of 7 of those actually, or 8 of those, in order to fulfill the ending conditions for this run. Again, we'll get to that a bit later in more detail, but for now we're now in Town of the Exiled, Town of the Exiled bears the next boss that we're going to be fighting, known as Aus. Azuarc, would you like to talk about this boss?
Oh boy, would I like to talk about Aus. Yes, Aus is one of the big run enders for this, for basically any category. Aus is a bit random. Aus is basically a giant bullet hell. The one saving grace about Aus is that she does get stunned 3 times at the beginning of the fight when you deal enough damage to her. And so if you can lay on the damage, she will hesitate and stun a couple times, but once those 3 stuns are used up, it's game on. And the attacks that she uses are big, they're blanketing, and they are very, very dangerous. And right now, with the way that we have things set up right now, she will 2-shot us, just barely not 1-shot. If she hits Kurushi with anything, he'll be basically at 1 health.
Yeah, the margin for error for this boss is very, very slim.
And unlike Loss, it's not scripted at all. You never know what Aus is going to do. She's incredibly unpredictable.
Oh, nice. We got the best pattern.
We're into the final move that she does when she's about to die. She has this big shield for the charge-up move, and if you beat through it, she goes down. So that was actually really nice.
Yeah, Marathon Fortune.
I know it didn't necessarily look like much was happening there, but I promise you that was a really, really fortunate and clean kill.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, 2 of the drops that she had are required for this category. One of them will allow us to go back to Town of the Exiled later for something that is very important for this category. And the other thing is a progression ability that will allow us to go into the overworld, which we're now traveling to. However, there is a boss guarding the overworlds. This is Crystallized Wolf.
Minor boss. Can be a little dangerous, but usually pretty easy. Very predictable fight as long as your crouch canceling stays pretty consistent. There we go, and we're going to head off to the Stingray. The item that we got was a whistle to call the Stingray, so now basically we have a boat.
Yeah, this overworld, when I first saw it playing through the game the first time, it reminded me of Scratch, if any of you have used that before for developing games. Yeah, it's very cute. We're going to be picking up an enhancement material that's located right there. And we got to go into this island to unlock the door that takes us to the rest of the overworld. So now is a good time to talk about what is the wall all about. Azuarc, is there anything that you would like to specifically mention about the wall?
Well, first of all, it's important to note that this game has 10 endings, and the wall is but one of them. It's kind of the black sheep of the bunch, because there are 3 endings in groups of 3. The first 3 are related to our main character here, Renee, and 3 are related to her companion there, Ifri, and then there's a 3rd trilogy of endings. The wall is the 10th and final ending that is kind of standing on its own and is very different from the others. The rest are very story-focused, whereas the wall is more of a gimmick ending, I guess you could say. It does serve a purpose within the greater scheme of the storytelling of the game, but it's very, very different. Basically, what we are going to do is we're going to do a world tour. We're going to go everywhere in the world, picking up those Shenlong glyphs that Kurushi mentioned. They are spread all over the place. So we're basically just doing a giant scavenger hunt. We're going to run through an area, go basically do a tag, grab the item, and then keep on running and head into the next area. And that's basically what the wall is going to be for a good long while once we have all of our movement abilities. And then once we have all of those Shenlong glyphs, which is the 2nd phase of the run, then we're basically just going to ride a boat for 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, right now I'm taking a detour to grab safety armor for the rest of this run, because basically what you guys will notice, every enemy in the game ever since Resting Path has these red icons over them, which is to indicate that they're much higher level than us. And especially these enemies and enemies that we'll be encountering for every area in the future part of this run, without any armor, these enemies will easily one-shot us. So having this armor will at least make it a 2-shot instead, and allows for it to be a lot safer to complete. But dying to get to the armor is such a classic for this kind of game, especially the speedrun, since, again, we don't have anything to protect us whatsoever. We basically just have the starting armor, starting health pool, some minor increases in our health pool from the level ups, but apart from that, we're completely defenseless, especially against these enemies that are about level 40 to 50. And
that. And we're level 9.
And now we'll be making our way to the central area.
One shot, yeah.
So when you said you were under levels, I wasn't aware and how You just said it, but wow.
Yeah, we're completely skipping out on leveling in this because that would take time, and we don't got time for that. So is going to be a section a little later in this area where we can potentially pick up a few levels very quickly. Also, Grushi's trying to manipulate an enemy, and sometimes they don't spawn, so we're going to reset and try that again. That little dragonfly is important because when we get the double jump off back when we fought Loss, we also got this toe tap ability where we can kind of bounce off of enemies, but that's going to be kind of useful for getting around in this new area. This is an extremely high level area in terms of the first ending category, so we have to be very cautious. It's amazing that Grushi didn't get one shot by that first enemy, but basically anything from here on out is going to one-shot him. We don't necessarily need to be here yet, but it's advantageous to do so because we're going to get ourselves that. You didn't get to see it, but Grushi picked up a new scythe. And the thing about this game is because the levels progress as you go through and everything gets stronger, obviously so do the pickups. So the weapons in this area, he's still using a scythe. He has replaced one scythe for another, and it fights exactly the same, but the stats on it are so much higher that scythe is basically going to carry us for a very long distance in the any percent category. That is pretty much the final weapon we get. In this category, we will eventually get another one, but we definitely want that weapon, and that's why we come here first. You'll notice also Grushi has been doing the dash sliding over this area when the ground is level enough, and if he can get going fast enough, he actually gets going so fast that he's able to kind of skip over these enemies by just going through them because they have a load time. And while they are loading in, they don't have a hitbox, or hurt box rather. So therefore, we can just go right through them like that guy right there.
Wow.
Yeah, that area is so scary, but we made it through, fortunately, the first pass. It's always nice. But we're not done here in Holy Grounds yet. We're now in the Grand Archives portion of Holy Grounds, where along the way we're going to be collecting some level ups from these echoes. And we're also going to be opening the shortcut on the other side so that it makes it easier to traverse when we come back here. Because we will have to come back here later for a very important matter. But for the time being, just same traversals we've been doing this whole game with now the double jump we possess. And there's going to be a couple areas, a trio of areas that we like to refer to as the Whispering Forest, Forest Forgotten, Silent Coast combo, the death combo of areas in any percent. And in this category, they're basically equally as scary. Whispering Forest will have a mini boss of sorts that is guarding the next progression ability, which is wall jump. And if you guys thought that the movement wasn't sick enough, you're gonna enjoy when we get wall jump. We're gonna be scaling through a lot of these areas very quickly. And
even right before you get wall jump, you got that one tech moment you've got where you go across the spike pits. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, that is probably my favorite traversal in the game. We've done a number of sequence breaks already so far, but the one that's upcoming is one that was discovered last year, and it saves a grand total of 30 to 40 seconds traversing through Whispering Forest. So it's great, especially if we can hit it the first try, but it's very difficult long jump. So we'll see how it goes when we get there.
Yeah, if you remember everything I was saying earlier about using the weapon to extend your distance, and now we've also got a double jump to work with, Grushi is going to have to put all of that together. You're going to see it used once earlier, and then once again later in a much more impressive fashion. A little bit of a story cutscene there. Here's the first one.
Yeah, that one's much easier. That one is not the main one.
Yeah, I can do that one.
Yeah. All right, here it is. It's upcoming.
Check this out.
Oh, first try. Let's go. Let's go.
Nice.
We love to see it. So that was to save, again, the 30 to 40 seconds, but we still need to talk to the NPC to open the portal, which takes us to Forest Forgotten, the next area. And we'll need to navigate further downward to meet the boss that gives us wall jump. But first, we're going to be getting this tree just for safety. And yeah, what's our next boss, azuarc?
Our next boss is literally named Failure. That's not ominous at all, now is it? They're actually a lab failure. They were an experiment gone wrong. But Failure here is a pretty easy fight if you know the right movement. If you don't, Failure is extremely obnoxious. But fortunately, this is very well prepared. Kurushi knows exactly what he wants to do, and the boss just melts thanks to the new weapon that we have that's, you know, incredibly over-leveled for this area, so obviously we can just kind of cut through him like hot butter.
Yep, that's right. And now we have wall jump. You see, we were forced to use it right away to escape the room after the boss. But now we're going to be doing a traversal that's relatively new to this category, and it's to open a shortcut that allows us to get to the boss we need to fight when we come back here later much more easily. That boss is very important for this category. In fact, it's not a boss you would fight in any of the categories that are shorter than the wall, that being the essential and any percent. But this boss will allow us to open up the side of Field of Hydro, which is an area to the far east that will allow us to get to the area that holds Super Jump, which is our next major progression ability. But before then, we still have several things to do. Yeah,
just to help you out, the basic gist of the story right now can be summarized as go east. And Renee, our main character here, her whole ambition up until this time is to learn to swim. So we are just basically going east to find someone who can teach us how to swim. That is our entire goal, is basically where we're headed. And so the Field of Hydra sounds like an excellent place to go to get a swim instructor. So that's where we are off to, basically.
Yep, that's exactly right. I went up out of my way to get this armor called Exotic Mass. It's going to improve our health pool for the next part of the run, as well as give us some additional main weapon attack.
Yeah, there are 3 armor slots in this game, and there's a head, a feet, and then a chest. And so far, Kurushi has gone out of his way to pick up a feet item and a head item. The chest one, fortunately, we will grab pretty much just incidentally along the way, so that'll come a little bit later, but all 3 of those are very important for giving us the survivability we need for some of the later areas, because even though I've been talking about this is a high-level area, that's only in terms of the first ending. Once you get through the first ending, there are even higher level areas than that go up to like level 70-ish for the enemies. And so we want to make sure that we don't completely get one shot in those if we can help it. So we are going to be seeing some very difficult areas that fortunately all we have to do is run through later. Right now we do have to actually fight a boss, though. This is known as the Unstoppable Devil. It's another boss fight that, if you know it, is not actually that hard. The one thing that we like to see if we can, there is a move that the Unstoppable Devil will do that we're very fortunate sometimes we get enough damage in to avoid.
Oh.
So, are we going to get it?
Let's go.
Is it? Oh!
Let's go.
Nice.
One cycle.
Bro did not live up to his name.
Yeah, so what happened there, we avoided the attack that she normally does as part of the phase transition. It's the Ice Rain attack. And that attack wastes like 8 to 9 seconds. You never want to see it in any run, but sometimes it's out of our control. But in this case, we managed to not to see it whatsoever, so definitely quite fortunate.
And now Kurushi's all movement all the time for like the next few minutes. We're going to see some sick navigation here. He's got a lot of little movement techs all over the place to route through these areas.
Whoa.
Oh, that was a weird pop-up. What happened there?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thankfully didn't cause anything too dire. Yeah, as azuarc mentioned, a lot of the movement in this game's speedruns are very optimized now. Like, it's kind of amazing how far this game has come along since its original 2023 release. I think it's a great honor to be able to showcase this game every time, and especially for the wall, we get to see a lot more movement that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see in some of the shorter categories. But yeah, what we did there, we briefly went up to get the save point, the tree, because we're going to come back to Forest Forgone to fight a boss that gives us a kind of meh progression ability. It's basically just a ground break, similar to the equivalent in Hollow Knight. And we're using it for exactly one Shenlong glyph, and that is all.
We have one floor to break, yep.
Yeah, strictly speaking, like that's all it's needed for. We are going to use it for more than just that, though, because, we might as well get some more usage out of it, right? We're going to be using it to instantly break any further dew crystals we need for the rest of this run, which we do need some further ones, because unfortunately, when we get to Scorchware, an area that's going to be later on in the run, there's going to be a ferryman NPC that requires a pretty hefty price in order to travel on his boat, a grand total of 3k dues, which is not cheap by any means. And it's much faster to break dues for that 3k due count by having the ground pound ability, so we're just going to make use of that because we might as well. Ugh, okay.
Oh.
Not ideal.
To be clear, 3K is only a lot in a speedrun category.
True,
I
true.
run the true ending run, and in that I pick up like literally every do in the game, and so I'm used to spending like 60, 70,000 dues in the course of that. This is a very, very basic boss. It's almost not even worth mentioning. One thing that we do want to note is that fighting him does lead to a bug that we had a lot of issues with. So what Krushi did there, he menued real quick into the map. For some reason, that clears the bug. We had issues for a very long time where we're going to be on a boat very, very soon, and that boat, there's an NPC that allows us to travel on it, and unfortunately, he wouldn't spawn most of the time, and we couldn't figure out why. But for whatever reason, opening up the map takes care of that. Krushi, by the way, in the meanwhile, has upgraded a ring and also replaced his scythe with his equivalent one. We are going to have a little bit of a boat ride here, so if there was ever a time to get a donation read-in, this would be it.
I don't think we have a charity, but we do got some information for you guys, though. Mentioned it earlier, always worth mentioning. We do have merch. You guys can check out the Juneteenth collection from our partners at the Yeti and Tantrum, featuring the return of Link to the Flash, cute joy stickers, and drinkware, plus Hyperjoy. All purchases made will help Black and the Flash continue to put on events that you love, like Back to Black, and maybe even more hot fixes. Type !Yeti and Tantrum in chat to check out the collections.
It's a cute name.
As well, Summer Games Done Quick is right around the corner. You guys can get ready for Summer Games Done Quick by checking out our SGDQ ambassadors. All throughout the month of June, support Doctors Without Borders by joining each ambassador's community in the lead up to SGDQ. Use !SGDQ ambassadors to check out the full schedule. And shout outs to one of SGDQ's ambassadors for putting this event together, our lovely and our own Pleasantly Twisted. That's my goat right there.
All right, thank you for that. We are now in Field of Hydro, so guess what? We're going to finally learn to swim. Here's our swim instructor, the literal god of water.
Yep, we can now go in the water. Normally, if you were to go in the water, you would take damage in this game and you'd be transported out of it abruptly. But now we can go in it and move through it just like basically normal air. So it's really cool.
In fact, Renee is special in that regard. Anybody else would literally just dissolve. But Renee is special. For some reason, she can die and like basically resurrect herself. So that's effectively what's happening when you fall in the water, is you're instantly resurrecting yourself. But now we have some protection from the water in this world, so we can actually go into it. And oh goody, it's Valo time, isn't it?
It sure is. Why are we fighting Valo in this category, by the way, azuarc?
Okay, so normally Valo is the big roadblock boss that keeps us from getting to the ending, and we have to really, really prepare for this. In this category, however, we don't actually have to go to that same ending, so the only reason that we are fighting Valo is so that we can pick up a rock. If you notice up in the upper left corner by Krushi's health, there are 4 little glyphs. Those are his heals. We have been picking up items along the way that allow him to heal, like that one right there that you just used. Oh!
Ooh, I should have used a potion there.
And there's one special one that has, it also unlocks a gate. And we are basically fighting Valo just so we can unlock that gate. Valo is, however, like one of the hardest fights in the game. It's a speedrunner's dream because it's very much a practice run that has tons of great movement and tons of practice in it. If you like working on bosses and learning, if you're a Dark Souls type gamer, this is the boss for you. But it is a very difficult fight. It is very technical. You can see Krushi doing a lot of very precise movement all throughout this, especially because it's a lot easier to fight this boss if you have a particular upgrade that we are missing. I normally don't like to fight Valo without having the move that lets us basically have iframes on our dash. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, there's a phase 2. Now, one thing that's worth noting is Valo is, one of the things that makes Valo hard to learn in phase 1 is that there are 2 versions of every single attack. And when that little orb in her chest glows, she does the second version. In Phase 2, she only does the upgraded versions, which ironically makes it easier to fight her because you know exactly what she's going to do and you don't have to think too hard about it. In addition to that, you'll notice that her health is constantly draining on its own, so if we were willing to be patient and just sit here and wait her out, she would eventually kill herself. But obviously we're going to help that process along because we're speedrunners. And in the very end, just before she's about to die, which will probably happen right about now, she is going to call to the heavens and nuke the entire center of the screen. If you are not right at the edge, you're dead.
Yeah, it's a pretty troll one. On normal difficulty, I rarely see it one-shot anymore for people's first playthroughs because by that point in the game, you have pretty good equipment loadout to protect yourself from getting one-shot by it. But on the original difficulty that the game released on, that would definitely one-shot for a lot of people. And it one-shot me the first time, and I was so annoyed because, you know, it's like I spent all that time learning the boss, and wow, you have to refight it again because you didn't know about the last thing she did.
You don't know how many times I died to Valo.
Yeah. That's like the rite of passage for this game.
So many times, and then I finally beat her, and she just does that F you move and kills me.
But yeah, now we're going to be making our way towards Sunken Sanctum. The whole reason we fought Vala in the first place in this category is that she's guarding a specific primeval glyph that we need to unlock the eastern portion of Field of Hydra, which is the area where we got swim from. And that will, again, allow us to go to Scorchware, which is where Super Jump is located. And Super Jump, you guys will see it when we get it, is going to massively speed up our vertical movement. It's probably the craziest progression ability in the game, if I had to think of one.
Nutty.
Yeah.
We're going to be zipping all over the place. Super Jump is fantastic. It's like the Crystal Dash in Hollow Knight, except vertical.
Yeah,
and
imagine
when you
if
do it in the air, there is no charge up time either, so you just do it.
Yeah, imagine if you had like a... Oh, sorry. Yeah. You go for it.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were somewhere else. You were going for the tree. I was going to say you don't need the tree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to be going back to Silent Coast quickly to get a pretty good ability. It's called Geo Carapace, and it'll basically block damage. Let me make sure I equip the armor. It'll basically block damage that we take from behind by a significant amount. So it's nice to have for the next portion of this run that's coming up.
This is this game's version of Dark Rooms. Instead of actual darkness, we have fog. And it's really thick, horrible fog to navigate through. At least it does give you a little bit of visibility, unlike a true dark room where we would be literally in the dark. But it is a pain to see through. Fortunately, we know where we're going at this point.
Yeah, it's also funny that the red icons of the enemies actually help see where we're going as well. It's hilarious.
They also help point out when you're about to fight a mimic. There are some chests in this game that are mimics, and you can spot them because they have the big danger icon over their head.
So now that we have Geo Carapace, which by the way required swim in order to be able to get, that's why we didn't get it sooner. We're gonna go back to Forest Forgone to fight the next boss, Xenowatcher, who is guarding Ground Break. And again, we only need this for exactly one thing in this run. Unfortunately, there's no way around it, so we're gonna be fighting this boss, but it's a pretty piece of cake boss. We're just gonna face tank whatever it does.
This boss has a magic side and a melee side, and basically alternates between them depending on which side is facing you. He'll turn around and switch, so now the melee side's facing. Oh, that attack. Stupid shield attack is annoying. Goes all Captain America on you. But, wow, that was quick. Almost got him. There we go. Yeah, it was pretty quick. I remember that fight taking longer.
Yeah, okay, so next up is the last major boss we're going to be fighting in the run. This boss is truly like a big choke point. And it's, I think, level 70 or something.
It's about level 70, yeah.
Yeah.
Gongor is a very... You can kind of predict what Gongor is going to do if you stay on him. We have to fight in the fog, unfortunately. But Gongor can basically be summarized as, do you even slide, bro? Because unlike all the other fights, basically all we're going to do is just perpetually slide under everything Gongor does. You do have to stay on his butt because he does have this one teleport move that is extremely dangerous if left to get some distance between you. And then there's this move, which Unfortunately, you were kind of trapped on a wall on that one.
Yeah. And you saw how much damage it did, even with all the armor that we have right now.
But phase 2 and going through pretty quick. Yes, that's nice.
Okay.
Very quick, clean kill.
I'm actually happy that we didn't. So, the boss drops 2 things. It drops the progression ability we need, which is the Eye of Gongor, which we'll talk about shortly. But it also drops a Shard of Divine Leaf. And if you grab that, it wastes like 5 or 6 seconds or something. And sometimes
RNG is
RNG.
basically just a heart piece.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you like 1 out of 3 of the ability to get your health upgraded.
I watched Karushi's runs practicing this week, and he was so upset every time he picked up that shard.
Yeah, sometimes it's not in your control. But yeah, the other thing we picked up was the Eye of Gongor. This is basically just a MacGuffin. It's a key. It'll allow us to free up the statue that's here. It's specifically the Phoenix that will take us to Scorchware. And there you saw that we had Sorrow, the primeval glyph, flashed above us because that's what allows you to get to this part of the Field of Hydro.
There was a blue gate that was there that we opened up, basically.
But yeah, the Phoenix is trapped in stone right now, and we need Eye of Gongor to be able to cure it. But first, we're just going to say hi-bye to grab Frost Dance, which is the next scythe upgrade we're going to be using for the rest of this run.
That's the last one, right?
That's right, yeah.
So we have our final weapon at this point.
Yep. Skip through all this dialogue, because there's a lot of it.
Lots of dialogue and a cutscene. Very brief cutscene.
I'm still in awe of this game's
screen.
visuals. Yeah. It's so gorgeous.
Love the colors in this game. It's like a great distinguishing point from a lot of Metroidvanias, I feel like, that are going for like a more dark theming.
Everything is super vibrant, and there's so many different biomes too on top of that. So like there's so many different tile sets as a result. You see so many different areas. There's like 27 map areas, I think, or something like that, and they're all enormous. So if you pick up this game, you're not going to hurt for content. You will definitely get your money's worth out of moving around. Even though Karushi is flying through everything super fast, each of these map areas will probably take you a good like 25-30 minutes to get through at least, and realistically probably more like 2 hours.
These tall enemies you're fighting, they kind of remind me of Aku from Samurai Jack.
Yeah, a little bit. But this is a very precise area to move through, and Karushi alluded to it earlier. This is Scorchware. This is an extremely high-level area. This is intended for the second trilogy of endings, where it's expected you will be at least like level 60. Well, we're halfway there.
Yep. All right, we made it past. That's one of the scariest areas in the whole run, so I was kind of punching there, but we're all good now. Got a nice little boat ride. We're going to be going over to Field of Pyro. We actually got 2 important things from this area. We got Super Jump, and we got the Shenlong Glyph. And Field of Pyro will get us another Shenlong Glyph, so that's what this boat ride is for.
Well, we have the boat ride. Remember, you guys are watching Black in the Flash's Summer Speedrunning Celebration Juneteenth. Type an exclamation point Juneteenth in the chat for the full schedule, and visit gdq.gg/BAF or visit our Blue Skies to learn how you can get involved with the Black in the Flash community. The Black in the Flash community is the Black in the Flash itself is a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in the speedrunning scene. Learn more or apply to get involved at gdq.gg/BAF or follow Black in the Flash on Blue Sky for the latest updates.
Okay, and we've moved from Scorchware into Field of Pyro, which is an equally dangerous area. The 2 fire zones are both very, very high level and very dangerous. You see Karushi starting to use the super jump, not even to its fullest potential, but just using it to zip around and over things. These big guys are one-shotting. Everything else he at least can take a hit from. But we're here basically just to pick up one of those Shenlong glyphs that we mentioned. So we're just gonna zip way up here, and take a dive over here to grab one of the Shenlong glyphs, and we are out. That's all we did. We, like I said, it's the Afterimage World Tour, so we are heading right on to our next stop.
Yeah, it doesn't get any safer from here. We just got out of the most dangerous area, but honestly, Albedo is the hardest area, I would say, to traverse. Thankfully, with Super Jump, it's a lot easier than it would otherwise be. And if you're curious what it would look like without super jump, go watch The Essential, which is a category that does Albedo Tower without super jump. So I just want you guys to envision how things would be without it. But while you're envisioning, we're going to first grab this tree just for safety. And here we go.
Yeah, so the fire zones that we were in are the highest level areas that we're going to see, tied with the areas that are right after this one. But Albedo Tower is probably the most dangerous just because of the way that the layout is set up and some of the enemies that we're going to face. Krushi is well practiced at this because he does also run that essential category where he doesn't have the luxury of doing this big zip up into the air at any given moment. Oh, that still hit you. But these enemies are a little rough, and sometimes they do things that you don't expect. Yeah, super jump is broken. I see that in chat. Yeah, no, super jump is absolutely busted. And the funny thing is you don't even have to get it to do the first few categories of the game, the first few endings. So you might not even know it exists up until you go trying to like do the true ending and stuff. There is a triple jump you can get. We will not be seeing it. But there's no need for triple jump when you have super jump. I do get it on the true ending run, but you're probably not going to see it. All right, and now we get into the hard part of Albedo Tower. That was not the hard part. This is the hard part. Starting from here, we have a gauntlet that we have to get through. So there's a bunch of enemies that we have no choice but to fight. Fortunately, we have a strong weapon, but unfortunately, we are still level 32 in an area with enemies that are level 55 to 60. Those birds especially are annoying. I personally hate these cyan birds. They're the real jerk birds as far as I'm concerned, but Krushi has them very well under control.
Oh, nice crits. Very nice.
And last wave.
I would have died there without Geo Carapace.
Oh, did you turn your back on that one?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So the ability that Krushi got, that defensive thing, it does do a little bit of defense in general, but the big thing that it does is it keeps you from taking as much damage in the back. And here's the laser room. Somebody had way too much fun designing this room.
Yeah, probably the worst room in the run, I would say. But
that was not too bad.
Yeah, honestly, waiting there kind of helps more than I expected, so that doesn't normally happen.
That room is ridiculous because there's lasers like that shooting randomly in every direction back and forth.
Yeah, and the cycles the lasers are on is not consistent at all. Like, you would think that, oh, if you get the best gauntlet clear every time, then you'll have the same laser cycles. No, not at all. Actually, we're going to be doing a boss skip right there. There's a boss that you're supposed to fight before you get into Sky Palace, which is the area we're now in. But
right in that room, yeah, we just went right past it. We're like, see ya, bye.
Yep. That's the power of super jump here. But in Sky Palace, we're going to be collecting a Shenlong glyph again. And we're going to be also going to the nearby area that also has a Shenlong glyph called Heart of Veins. But I'm going to focus for this area because it's also a hard area traversal-wise.
So pretty much every area in the game at this point can be summarized as either is a place with a Shenlong glyph or is a place where we are going to be passing through in order to get to somewhere with a Shenlong glyph. This particular map area is both. First, you just grab the glyph, and now we are getting to the exit so that we can get to the final high-level area, although it won't look very dangerous because the final high-level area doesn't even have any enemies, per se. There's a couple bosses, but we're not going to be doing either of them. This area, however, is quite dangerous if you give it the opportunity for these enemies to hit you. We are very practiced on the movement, so fortunately it's not too bad, and we are through. And
yeah,
into the Heart of Veins.
Mm-hmm. This area doesn't have any enemies, Heart of Veins, that is. It just has currents, and there's a boss that you can, or actually more than one boss that you can fight. But we're not going to see any of those bosses. We're just here to get the Shenlong glyph, and then we're going to get out. But something about Sky Palace that's interesting is there's way more traversal you're actually supposed to do in order to get the area that we got to get to Heart of Veins. But what we actually did was we hit the one-way barrier from the other side with the scythe, which allows us to completely skip a lot of traversal that would be required otherwise. Pretty nice.
You'd think they knew about that. And you know, they probably did, to be fair. They know what most of their speedrunning tech is in this game, it seems like, or at least a lot of the basic stuff. All right, so we have finished the main part of the world tour. We have, 2 final glyphs to pick up?
That's right. And one of them is going to be really quick to grab. It's back in Field of Geo. There's a part that requires the ground break that we needed it for, and that's the only thing that we need ground break for the whole run. So once we grab this Shenlong glyph, we can basically say goodbye to ground break. Never knew ya.
I mean, you did use it for smashing a couple of the dudes.
That is true.
Say hi to the cat. Meow. Smash.
Yeah, some of the NPCs have so much dialogue for some reason. But yeah, we've got the Shenlong glyph now. We're actually gonna go back to Rainbow Plains for the very last Shenlong glyph. But Rainbow Plains is actually not where the Shenlong glyph is. It's in an area called Goliath Fall, which is actually a pretty high level area in its own right. But it's interesting because this area is actually an area a lot of beginners go to when they first play this game. And to be fair, it's where the game kind of leads you towards. And then you realize that it's a bit too high level, so you got to get out. But in our case, we got to get the Shenlong glyph and then get out of there.
Also, the part of Goliath Fall that the beginners can get to doesn't have the high-level enemies, so...
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, with Super Jump, it's going to make it a breeze to get through. We need the Antiquated Key to actually get to this part of Goliath Fall, but thankfully it's not too big of a detour.
That was what Cruci went around the one side of that castle keep to grab. Now we're just going to dash real quick through this area. We have to do a lot of circuitous routing to get to where we need to, because there's a bunch of barriers in the way that require the boss of this area to be able to circumvent. It's basically the equivalent of the upgraded dash in Hollow Knight, except it's red instead of black. That's the only real difference. It functions the exact same way, though, where it allows you to iframe through enemies and go through certain barriers. And those barriers are all over the place in this area, so we have to navigate in a very roundabout way to get to where we want to go. But fortunately, there is a path that doesn't require us to fight the boss and get that upgrade.
Yeah, and actually this was a path that we kind of routed out recently, extremely recently. It was about 4 days ago. And it saves a surprising amount of time over what we used to do, which was go through Field of Geo and navigate to the late game part of Field of Geo to get to Goliath Fall, which is a lot more dangerous and more annoying as well.
All right, we're in the late game stages of the run now. We've got all of our thingies. It's go mode.
Yep, we've collected all of the Exodia pieces, so to speak. We're now going to be speaking to an NPC here who's the merchant of Town of Exile, known as Stanley. And we need to purchase the words of Shenlong, because otherwise the NPC that we get the most important key item from will not speak to us if we don't have the words of Shenlong, pretty much. So now that we have the words of Shenlong, we're going to go to the NPC. She's known as Se. She's a fairy. And once we show her the words of Shenlong, as well as the 8 Shenlong glyphs, then she gives us the key to Se, which allows us to perform a set of conditions to reach the ending. We'll talk about those conditions when the time comes, but it's a little bit peculiar to say the least.
In essence, Sa is an extraplanar being who happens to be living in this world, and she just kind of set up a scavenger hunt. She actually has a second scavenger hunt with a bunch of coins all over the place that you can grab and trade into her for items as well.
Give me the key. There we go.
Got it?
All right.
Our final resting potion.
Yeah, so we routed out the RPs perfectly, thankfully. Sigh of relief there. But yeah,
that was a big thing you were working on this week.
Yeah, it's amazing how it comes together. All right, so now we got to come back to this boat. Hello again. We specifically have to turn off this lamppost to fulfill the conditions for this ending, and then we're basically going to ride the boat along until we get to a very specific loading zone in this area, where it'll be indicated by a second set of like black specks of mist being visible on the screen. So I'm going to be waiting specifically for that. We got the first speck, so we're good there. Second speck, and then we flip the boat around, and then we're going to see a cloud of mist start to kind of envelope the waters. And in this mist, we will sit for 3 minutes before we turn around the boat again and we reach a hidden area of the game where we can actually get the wall ending fulfilled. So now is a good time to just relax. 3 minutes of chill riding on a boat. And if you got anything announcement-wise, feel free.
A few things here we could catch up on. If you guys want to catch up on past hotfix shows, special events, and GDQ marathons, you can go over to youtube.com/gamesdonequick. Watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with GDQ. And we mentioned earlier, SGDQ is around the corner. Prize submissions are open for SGDQ 2025. You can visit games.quick.com for more info.
Yeah, so as we're nearing the end of the run, we still got like another 2 minute, 30 seconds left. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, for being a part of this run. Really appreciate everyone that came to support. I know a couple of my folks probably came in as well to support. And thanks to you, azuarc, for joining me along for this run. It's been an interesting ride. Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun helping you improve the routing this week.
Yeah, azuarc did a great job of kind of working out the kinks of this route earlier, because before we had a lot of extraneous traversal, but now it's a lot tighter. And as you saw, it's definitely pretty difficult. There's a lot of stressful moments, but I'm glad we made it to the end pretty smoothly overall. Something that I want to give shout out to is the Afterimage speedrun community. It's an awesome but very small and tight-knit community, and we've done a lot of work to optimize the game from its initial release to this point, especially in the restricted categories, including any percent, as well as the essential, and now the wall, which is the run you guys saw today. And azuarc does a lot of work on the Worldflower. azuarc, is there anything you want to talk about regarding the Worldflower category?
The Worldflower is a much longer run. It takes me over 3 hours to do, and that's on normal difficulty. On advanced, it's like 3.5. It's basically the do everything run, and so we mentioned there are 10 endings. Worldflower basically does every ending except for this one right here, because you have to do them all in order to build up to that. So it's a pretty comprehensive category. What we've done in the wall is Afterimage World Tour, but I do more than just tour in Worldflower. I have to basically poke my nose at every nook and cranny. It's practically a 100% run.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, that category has a lot of very specific things you need to take care of. And if you're even off a little bit by your currency amount that you collect, like the dues in this run are pretty tight. So you can imagine for Worldflower, if you're off by even a little bit, or if you're off by talent points that are required for that category as well, it can be a disaster to try to find what you're missing. But again, there's been a lot of work done in optimizing that category. So yeah, thanks for talking a bit about it. There's also a couple of other runners that I want to give a shout out to, specifically Robbo, who's not watching right now, but again, really big thanks. You've been a great inspiration for me in running this game, as well as some of the earlier runners, Archelena and Trash Lapros. They did a great work in routing out the game in the kind of initial phases of when this game had first released, and that was before I'd even touched the game. Yeah, I want to give a big thanks to them, because they were doing a lot of work in routing out the game early on. And finally, shouts to Tam, who did a great job of getting some of the faster time saves in any percent that we still use to this day. And he's always been great at boss fights as well, so really appreciate the inspiration you've given to me as well. All right, so we're just about near the time we need to turn the boat around. We're gonna wait like a bit longer, probably 20 more seconds. Usually 3 minutes is the exact time you need to wait until to turn around the boat at the minimum. If you turn it around any sooner, then it won't work, and you'll notice it very quickly, because the way the boat spins around, it'll kind of shift in its momentum immediately rather than hanging a little bit before turning around. If we see the hang before it actually makes its way in the opposite direction, then that means we did everything correctly, and we'll see like the background screen turn purple. So that'll be a good indication of everything being done correctly.
Yeah, the one criticism I have for this category is it's a little anticlimactic. We don't have a big boss fight at the end. We don't have a whole lot of grand movement. We have a 3-minute boat ride.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how people figured this out, because this is bizarre to say the least. It's a super hidden ending as far as I'm concerned, but it is an achievement, so they did expect you to find it.
Yeah, I think the thing about this one, at least from my understanding, is that the developers ended up just telling people how to fulfill the conditions for this ending. Because, yeah, there's actually just no way that people would have found this on their own. Although it is pretty cool, like the conditions you fulfill. As azuarc mentioned, the reality is that the actual ending itself does have some anticlimacticness to it. Although there is a cool movie reference being made in what they did here. I'm sure you guys will notice it immediately. It's from a certain 90s action movie. But when we get there, you guys will be able to see. First, we got to do a long dash slide along the stretch.
I didn't talk much about the story, but there is a 2.5-hour lore video that talks about everything that goes on in Afterimage, which you kind of need to understand because it's hard to parse together. But that video even says that this is arguably the most important ending for the lore, which I don't know if I agree with, but here's your ending. And time happens when we see the name of the ending, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Time's coming up. When we see the wall on the screen, that is time right there. So you guys probably picked up on the reference already, and that is time.
Boom.
Wow.
Hooray.
GG.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, what a run.
Yeah, thanks. This run is very difficult. I think there's still a lot of work that can be done on optimizing things, but the fact that there's not a final boss and yet it still has very tight movement throughout all these late game areas makes it like kind of a thrill for a lot of people that like that. But overall, pretty good. 58-13 in-game time. Very solid. But yeah, that's going to do it for us, guys. azuarc, if you didn't have anything else quickly before we go.
Not really. I'm sure you wanted to mention your socials. I have my 100% run for this game up if anybody needs a guide.
Yeah, from my side, you can follow me on YouTube. That's where I do everything, including live streams and uploads, youtube.com/KarushiDrive. And lately I've been doing a lot of blind playthroughs, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to check it out. And yeah, thanks to everyone that tuned in for this run. Go ahead and do watch the rest of the runs that are on the Juneteenth Marathon, and happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys for that run. That was phenomenal. I wasn't familiar with this game until I saw it listed, and I'm glad I got to sit here and watch this. I was locked in the entire time. Beautiful game. Your commentary was amazing. Somebody mentioned that you have a very steady voice, and you did. You were just like the same even keel throughout it, and I thought that was phenomenal. Beautiful game. Thank you so much for being here with us for this, and y'all go check K-Drive out on YouTube, just like you said. That is your last run for the evening. Sadly, though, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But before we raid out, we want to give a special thanks to Head Up Games for supporting this event and let y'all know about a game they got coming up that you won't want to miss.